Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hello friends, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the new to me authors that I read in 2023 that became a favorite, or my eyes were open to them and I want to read everything that they have coming in the future. Pardon me, my cheeks are a little bit rosy. You know, it's one of my no makeup days, which I'm totally fine with. Like 80% of my videos now, I don't wear makeup for, and I love it. It makes my life easier. But I also have rosacea, which is hidden a lot by my filters. It is. There's a pretty good amount of filters on this. But it makes me, like, if I do any amount of housework or anything, my cheeks start to, like, bloom, right? And today, to film, like, the sun is out, which is lovely. But instead of fighting with the light this time, which is what I've done the last couple times, you know, and I get really frustrated with it, I just decided to do other things until the light moves as far away. So, like, you can't see, but, like, the light streaks are over here, but none of them are hitting me. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make nature work for me. So we still get some of the nice glow of there being light out, but it's not in my face. So anyway, sorry, that's just a little behind the scenes stuff from Jen. So hopefully I cool down a little bit. Today I am working on a new drop for the Etsy shop, which is going to be kind of Valentine's themed, and it's going to be so pretty. It's going to be so pretty. I'm so excited to get that ready. So anyway, let us get started with these. I'm not necessarily going in like the order that I read them. I just was going through the books I read in 2023 and picking out. I have a little more than 10 because I didn't like rank them or anything. I just looked to see which authors I read and like immediately wanted to read all of their books, and I think you'll recognize a lot of them on this list. So let's go ahead and get started with an author that's a bit newer to me, and that is Gabrielle Sand. So this is a pretty new author as is. I think she has, besides this series, I think she has one series before that, if I am correct. I don't think she has them listed right in here. Oh, does she right there? Nope, it's not even listed in here, but I think she has one other series as well. I actually won a signed copy from her of this one. So this is the fourth one in the Mafia series. So Gabrielle Sand was actually recommended to me by someone on Instagram. She was a part of my 12 Recs from 12 Friends challenge that I did last year. And I didn't get around to this one until like November. Again, the first one in the series, which is When She Unravels. And I've talked about this. I'm actually a little bit glad that I waited because more of the books were out when I read it. If I'd read it at the beginning of the year, only one of the books was out so far. But this is a dark mafia series. She's going to be starting a spin-off series from this one soon. I think it's called like Dark King or something is what the spin-off's going to be. I think she even said... yeah, Fallen God is going to be coming later this year. But I don't know, there was just something really addicting about her books. You're going to hear me say that multiple times, right? And I thought that some of her mafia plots were unique. Of course, there's some that you would see all the time. You know, there's an arranged marriage one, there's a bodyguard one. But the way this series starts with When She Unravels, I feel like that heroine was very unique in some ways for sure. So yeah, Gabrielle Sand. I definitely am going to continue to read her, and I can't wait to see what else she has coming. Then I would be absolutely remiss to not share this author. Also, sorry, one more side note, one more caveat. I tried not to only pick the authors that are on my top list of the year. You know, that video is out if you want to see my top 10 reads of the year, because obviously those are some of my favorite authors. There are a few of those on here, but I tried to pick ones that like had the most impact on me. I don't know, whatever. You'll see. There's a mix of it. But I made that caveat because I want to share Erin Langston, and I want to share this one also since she was a debut author this year. She currently only has one full book out, but she has two novellas that connect with the story. You know, Forever Your Rogue was in the very top of my favorites, and so I had to have her in here. I just love how she writes historical romance so far. And this being her debut story, and for it making it to, you know, the very, very top of my favorites list, I just can't wait to see what she does going forward. And there was just such heartwarming stuff in this book, but also in the 2 novellas, which is A Day Until Forever and Some Winter's Evening, I think are those. Those are both really so charming as well, and it's tough for novellas to hold up for me. So yeah, Erin Langston, if you haven't tried her yet, I highly recommend it. Although I have just heard, so one of my friends actually listened to the audio, and they found themselves getting bored when there was the male POV, which I just can't imagine because I love Nate so much. So if you have tried or are trying the audio and you're not feeling it as much, maybe do drop it and just read it. I don't know. Normally I suggest the other way around, but I would hate for a narration to put someone off of this book because it's just so good. But anyway, we know how I feel about that. All right, then we have Victoria Aveline, who I actually just read, I think in the beginning of December is when I started the series. I had heard about it when my friend Ava read her, my friend Tiffany did Tiffany read some of her? I don't know. I think Jessen did. I don't know who all did. I heard people talking about it, and I listened to audiobooks from this author, and I binged all of the ones that were out so far. There's alien romance, and I just found them so charming. I love the narrator so much, and I cannot wait to see like what comes next in the series. I just had the best time with it. And so I love when I find an author who writes such unique takes on like alien romance and seeing where it goes. So yeah, I wanted to put her on here. Then there's an author who, this is another one that was recommended to me again and again and again, and not just even directly people recommending it. I was seeing other friends read it, you know, which is a recommendation to me as well. And that is Opal Rain. And so A Soul to Keep is the first in the Dustwalker Bride series. Now, this was one I had on my TBR like 3 different times before I finally got around to it, because I'm a lazy bitch like that. I'd even bought the physical copy and then I read it on ebook anyway. That happens a lot of times. Like, this was in my Barnes & Noble and I was so happy. I was like, ooh, a monster romance. You know, I had to scoop it up. And I had always wanted to read it because my friend Joe had read it and a bunch of other friends had tried it. And I just didn't get around to it. Like I said, I had it on my TBRs multiple times. And then I finally tried it. And I binged all 5 that were out within 3 days. And these are chonkin' books. Okay, this is like the shortest one. And this one is 540 pages or something like that. But yeah, I read A Soul to Heal, To Touch, To Guide, To Revive. I read all of those. And I'm very excited for the next one she has, which I should see when that's coming out. I know it shouldn't be too long for another one, but she does have, I believe it's like a pirate romance. Yeah. And I have the first one snagged to try, but I don't know. I really loved her monster romance, and like some of it is very painful. And like a lot of the symbolism within here, like you could take this really deep if you want to, but it also was just, it wasn't just monster smut. And I say that with the greatest respect for monster smut, okay? I am a huge proponent of it. But this time around, this one has a lot more going on than just that. So yeah, Opal Rain will be on the TBR going forward too. Okay, and I mean, you know, he had to show up. Jagger Cole. He has a bit of a caveat as well. So I had felt like I'd never read a Jagger Cole before when, as I've shared, Valentine PR just sent me this one to promote kind of the second one was coming out. And I read this for the Mafia Romance Readathon in 2023. And I loved it, okay? And I loved the second one even more, and I've really enjoyed what I've read thus far. I may be reaching the point where he's like over the top for me. I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see. But I just, at the time, thought that his Mafia was so unique. I loved reading a male take on it. I so rarely have male romance authors on my you know, TBR and stuff, it's usually, if it's a male, it's like because it's a fantasy. So this was just, it was fun to try something else out. And though it's not perfect, I like it because it's different. And the things that he focuses on are different. I love how he focuses on male friendship and relationships in here. The sex from a male point of view, I like when it's in the male point of view in the book. When it's in like the female point of view, I find that their orgasms are written a little bit over the top and things like that. But overall, I have loved what I've read from Jagger Cole. And though I haven't dived far back into Backlist at all, I want to go with it. Oh, and that's what I was going to say. So I thought that he was a new to me author. I have read a novella, which was actually one of the first 3 books that he'd ever read. It was just a short little novella, and I didn't really like it, and I never picked him up again. So technically, I did try him back like when he was first getting started, but we're going to put him on a new to me author because if Valentine PR hadn't sent me this book, I probably wouldn't have picked it out of all the other mafia you see, right? Because you look at the front of this and I immediately think of some other romance authors, right? Like, doesn't this cover look like Irina Kent? You know, it looks like a Throne of Power cover, or, you know, Monster in his eyes. Like, it really looks like those. But I love it. I love it. I really do. Okay, then this is actually for a specific series, but both of these authors were new to me, but I'll just focus on Josie Jade right now. But there was this series that I discovered, I don't even know what month this one was now, but I discovered this series that was called Resting Warrior Ranch. And there was a Stuff Your Ears day instead of like a Stuff Your Kindle day. And there was some audiobooks that were free. It was kind of pushing out, you know, that you can listen to audiobooks on Spotify now. And there was some codes for BookFunnel, codes of free books. And so I snagged a couple. I tried not to take too many just because some of them were ones that I'm probably not that interested in. But anyway, one of the ones I got was Resting Warrior Ranch, Book 1, which was Montana Sanctuary. I love cowboys. I love books set in Montana. And these are all ex-military men who started this ranch where people can have restorative like treatments done, whether, you know, with the help of a psychologist or just with getting away from everything. And so these like 7 Navy SEAL, are they Navy SEALs or Special Forces, whatever they were, they own this ranch. And the first one begins with this woman who's actually on the run from her ex, who is just a very abusive man, but he is like a billionaire, and so he is able to continually keep coming after her and keeping her under his thumb. And she finds herself in this small town that is near Resting Warrior Ranch, and she ends up getting a job working in that town and meeting the guys, and they will eventually help her get free of that horrible man. And then, of course, we get introduced to all the other resting warriors, and the series goes from there. Now, there was a lot of drama trying to find these on AnyPlay, but the series is on AnyPlay. It's just like difficult to get to it. If I remember, I'll leave the links to it. But it was just hard for some people to find it. But anyway, these audiobooks are free. And if not, they're in Kindle Unlimited if you can't find the audiobooks. But they had some good narrators to the series for sure. But I loved this. There aren't any more in this series planned that I can tell. I think we've done all of the Resting Warriors and even the psychologist who helped them out. But I would read another series by this writing duo for sure. I really liked it. Okay, then for the first time, I read Lilan Harris this year. I actually got asked to like be a part of her like ARC team when I hadn't even read any of her stuff really yet. I knew one of my friends was reading her, and so I started with her most recent release at the time, read an arc of that, and then I became an audiobook proofer for her for some of them, which has been fun. I've never done that before. It was great. And she writes mafia romance. So I can't remember the first one that I read now. Is it Shattered Secrets? And that one was an amnesia romance. And then there's the Messina crime family, which I am all caught up to those books now too. So I just really enjoyed her. She had some unique plots as well. And yeah, Lilan Harris is another mafia option for you, gotta share that. Okay, then we have someone I've been absolutely loving. We have Lena Hendricks. I'm actually currently reading book 4, which is One Night. I got this one signed at North Iowa Book Bash. I really hope I'll be able to go again this year. We'll have to see how tax season goes, if I can afford it. But Lena Hendricks has just like blown up. Her marketing and her like social media breath like has been really big with this series. She does have a series before this. I actually have that series. It's like right back there as well. And that series was like a Montana series as well. But this one is about a small town called Out of Towner. And there's the Sullivan family. And this first one is about Wyatt, who's a single dad. And he's a college football coach. And the woman who ends up being his assistant / roommate, which is interesting. But we meet the Sullivans, and of course there's a grumpy one, and there's the slutty one, and there's the youngest one, and there's all that, and it's just really lovable. But her books, I feel like, got really big because of the like hot spice that's in the small town romance. And there are a few in the series that I felt like relied too much on it. But when I went back and I'm reading the books in her first series, they didn't rely on that as much. And so I believe that she'll even out eventually. And I've really enjoyed what I've read so far. And yeah, she was completely new to me. I didn't remember seeing any of her books anywhere before until I'd seen this cover going around. And then I saw that she was going to be at North Iowa Book Bash. And when I went through the list of authors, I pre-ordered a few books here or there, but for the most part, I didn't know any of the authors that were going to be there. Just pretty much Pam Godwin and Jennifer Hartman and Annika Martin. Like, I knew them. But I was like, oh, she's going to be there. So I ordered some of her books. And then I just watched her, like, it's so huge. Like, someone else who's that is, like, S.J. Tilley. I didn't put her on this list because I haven't read too many of hers yet. But she's someone else who, when I met her in North Iowa Book Bash last year, like, hardly anyone knew about her. But her books, a couple of her books got put in, like, a book box, and they got picked up by some people. And then she just, like, blew up. So it's cool to see it happen. All right, then we have another couple historical romance authors to share. So another debut author in 2023 was Stevie Sparks, and she actually has 2 different series that are running. One is a dark contemporary, and then there's this historical series. So this is The Lords of Desire, and this is Surrendering to the Duke, and this is actually a widow romance and dead brother's wife romance. It was very spicy. This is also, so this cover is not super accurate. This is actually a between the wars romance. So this takes place in, I think it's 1920. So it's after the wars ended. And the previous Duke, who the heroine was married to, he has died. So now the second son, who he was a soldier in the war because he was a second son, so he didn't need to, be around the house at all. He is now the Duke, and he's in love with his sister-in-law. So, but their sister-in-law, she was treated very well by her first husband. Like, he was good to her. But she has a lot of trauma in her past from where she came from. And that's something they work through together in this one. Then there's also Despising the Duke, which is the other one that's out. That one's very emotional, very good. And then she has a dark billionaire series, like I said, dark contemporary, and I haven't read that yet, but I want to read those ones. So I really enjoyed her. If you like darker historicals, check her out. Then there is an author that I had definitely seen her around before, but I had never read one of her books, and that is Lydia De La Rosa. So Lydia De La Rosa has some traditionally published books out right now. There's one of them that's called like Isabella and the Rogue or something like that. They're really beautiful covers, like really great. But when I was at Book Bonanza, I wanted to find some historical romance, and I just wasn't seeing it anywhere. I mean, Sierra Simone has a couple that are historical, but she's not a historical romance author, and like Pam Godwin has Sea of Ruin, that's a historical, but it's not the same. And it was near the end of the signing on the last day and I saw that she just had a few books left, and I went over to talk to her, and I was like, I love historical, tell me about your books. And so she told me about her Once Upon a Scandal series. So this is actually the 4th book in the series. It comes with this little art print of them. But yeah, these are about, each one of them has a different scandal that starts out the book. This is actually the 4th one, like I said. The first one was To Tame a Scandalous Lady, or To Love a Scandalous Duke. I don't know, it's one of those. But yeah, I have all of these signed from her. Where's my sign page now? And I really liked these. I listened to all of these ones. These ones were all on AnyPlay as well. So I loved it. And she's someone that I want to continue to read her. So I want to read her newest releases that are traditionally published when I get the chance. So those are some historicals. All right, let's do 2 fantasy authors, and then we'll end with another contemporary. So something that, I mean, it feels like it's been so long, because it has been like a full year, but an author that I didn't read until, I believe I actually started one of them the very last week of December, but I'm counting this author because I want to have her on here. So Carissa Broadbent is someone that I discovered in the last year. Actually, like, my friends were reading her books. Her Serpent and the Wings of Night, the Crowns of Araxia, those books went bonkers. And I did read the first one of those first. And then I read this trilogy, and then I read the second book in the Crowns of Nyaxia. And obviously, like, I love the War of Lost Hearts so much. And I'm very thankful to Big Sis Crystal and Jessin, who both pointed me towards this series. And I mean, I was already trying Serpent and the Wings of Night, and like, it was good. Like, I'm really excited to see where that series goes too. I really like it. But the War of Lost Hearts, I mean, you know, that was on my top reads of the year as well. And I've loved everything I've read by her. I do still have one book I haven't read. I didn't read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror yet, because I've been saving it, because we do not know when we're getting the next book from her. She was on maternity leave for like the second half of 2023, and I know she's just getting back into her writing groove now. So we'll see. But I can't recommend her enough. Then the other fantasy author who is new to writing fantasy, and I think it's crazy that I had definitely heard of this author. I knew of her, but I had never gotten around to reading one of her books. I hadn't read any of them before, because I heard they were very emotional and there's a lot of military romance, so I was nervous. But when she put out a dragon book, she became really exciting to me. So yes, Rebecca Yaros was new to me in 2023. I hadn't read any of her stuff yet, and without even knowing, I downloaded the audio of Fourth Wing because my friends were reading it. I had no clue what I was in for with it. This is the bookish box copy, and it really is stunning. Let's see if they have the map picture in here. Oh, this one doesn't, but it's a really beautiful copy. It has the good quote on the back here. And I've just loved everything about Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I know that it's divisive, but anything that lots of people are very passionate about, there'll be people who passionately hate it. That's just how we work, right? There are plenty of things that can be pointed out that aren't great, but I consistently come back to the fact that I had a great time listening to these books. I listened to Fourth Wing, I listened to Iron Flame. I loved the performances, and I loved all the dragon fighting and flying and all that stuff. And if there's some plot things that don't perfectly make sense, well, they don't make sense. And I just don't always give a fuck if they don't make sense. I just want to have a great time, and I really have. And I love whenever anyone gets super excited about books. You know, like the next SJM is coming out soon, and I love seeing how excited everyone gets about it, you know? All right, and then the last author I want to mention is a contemporary author, and this author was also on my top of 2023, but I just had to mention her. So new to me was Liz. Tom Forty was new to me in 2023, and I just was so moved by particularly The Right Move, but I liked Mile High and Caught Up both quite a bit as well. I think that the men she writes are very like in touch with their emotions, which of course they are because they're written by women, but I just love how unique each of her characters are, how much heart that they have, and it just made me so excited for each story, and I can't wait for whatever she's writing next. And yeah, I'm so happy her books got picked up for traditionally published as well. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see where she goes. So thank you so much for watching this. Let me know some of the authors that were new to you in 2023. Let me know if any of these authors you tried, because I talked about them to you. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I put up new videos 4 times a week. I have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel, or you can check out channel memberships, or you can even make a one-time gift through gifting here. Any of that all helps me continue to do what I do. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.